The moment Ethan Walker heard those 7 words from his boss on that windswept beach, everything he believed about his worth as a father shattered and rebuilt itself in an instant. 3 years of drowning in bills, dodging layoff rumors, and questioning whether his daughter deserved better than a broken man, all of it hung in the balance of that chance meeting. If you've ever wondered whether one honest sentence can change a life forever, stay with me until the end of this story. Hit that like button and comment what city you're watching from so I can see how far this journey reaches. Ethan Walker stood motionless in the cramped kitchen of his apartment, staring at the pile of envelopes scattered across the chipped countertop. The overhead light flickered, had been flickering for 2 weeks now, casting uneven shadows across past due notices and final warnings printed in red ink. His daughter Lily's 7th birthday was in 6 days. 6 days to somehow conjure magic from an empty bank account. The weight in his chest had become familiar over the past 3 years, a constant companion since the night Rebecca died. But lately, that weight had grown teeth. It gnawed at him in quiet moments, whispered accusations when he tried to sleep, reminded him of every promise he'd broken, every milestone he'd barely managed. "Daddy?" Lily's voice drifted from the doorway, soft and uncertain. "Are you okay?" Ethan turned, forcing his face into something resembling calm. His daughter stood barefoot on the threshold, clutching the threadbare stuffed rabbit that hadn't left her side since she was 4. Since the hospital. Since everything changed. "I'm fine, sweetheart," he said, the lie smooth from practice. "Just thinking about work stuff. Nothing for you to worry about." Lily tilted her head, studying him with those 2 wise eyes that sometimes made him forget she was only 6, going on 7. She had Rebecca's eyes, that piercing blue that seemed to see straight through every defense he'd ever built. "You always say that," Lily said quietly. "But your face gets all tight when you're worried, like now." Ethan crossed the small kitchen and knelt in front of her, smoothing back the honey-colored hair that fell across her forehead. "What would make you happy right now? If you could do anything?" Lily's face brightened immediately. "Can we go to the beach tomorrow? Please? We haven't been in forever." Ethan glanced back at the bills. The beach cost nothing but gas money. Gas he wasn't entirely sure he could afford. But the hope in Lily's expression was worth more than the careful calculations that usually governed every decision. "Yeah," he heard himself say. "Beach day tomorrow, just you and me." The smile that lit up Lily's face made the knot in his stomach loosen just slightly. She threw her arms around his neck, squeezing tight. "You're the best daddy ever." If only that were true, Ethan thought as he held her close. If only he could believe it. Later that night, after tucking Lily into bed with 3 stories instead of the usual one, Ethan sat alone in the living room's darkness. His laptop screen glowed in front of him, tabs open to job listings he'd already memorized. Marketing coordinator positions in other cities. Graphic design freelance gigs that paid pennies. Anything that might offer more security than his current role at Meridian Creative. The company had been hemorrhaging clients for the past year. Ethan had watched colleagues pack up their desks one by one, escorted out by security with hollow expressions and cardboard boxes full of personal items. Each departure tightened the noose around those who remained. And then 6 months ago, Claire Morgan arrived. The board had brought her in to restructure operations, corporate speak everyone recognized as a death sentence. Claire had a reputation that preceded her, brilliant, ruthless, capable of cutting a department's budget by 40% while somehow increasing productivity. She moved through the office like winter itself, all sharp edges and cool efficiency. In their limited interactions, she'd been professionally distant. Ethan had presented campaign concepts in meetings where Claire's dark eyes revealed nothing, her expression carved from ice as she dissected ideas with surgical precision. She dressed like armor, tailored suits in blacks and grays, her hair always pulled into a severe bun that seemed designed to announce she had no time for softness. The other designers called her the Ice Queen when they thought no one was listening. Ethan had never joined in, partly because office gossip felt petty, mostly because something about the nickname bothered him in ways he couldn't articulate. He'd failed her recently. 3 missed deadlines when Lily caught pneumonia last month and spent 4 terrifying nights in the hospital. Ethan had worked from Lily's bedside when he could, but exhaustion and fear made creativity impossible. The campaigns he'd submitted were adequate at best, forgettable at worst. Claire knew. Of course she knew. She reviewed every project personally, her notes arriving via email with timestamps that suggested she never slept. The feedback on his recent work had been brief, professional, and damning in its lack of the specific praise she gave to others. Ethan closed the laptop and rubbed his eyes. Maybe the beach tomorrow would buy him one more day of pretending everything wasn't falling apart. One more day of being the father Lily deserved instead of the one he feared he was becoming. The next morning arrived with unexpected brightness. Spring in coastal California could be unpredictable, but the sky stretched endlessly blue, the air carrying that salt and sun smell that always made something tight in Ethan's chest relax slightly. They left early, beating the weekend crowds. The drive took 40 minutes, Lily chattering the entire way about shells she hoped to find, sandcastles she wanted to build, whether the water might be warm enough for wading. Ethan let her voice wash over him, grateful for the distraction from thoughts that had kept him awake until 3 in the morning. The beach was nearly empty when they arrived, just a few early joggers and one elderly man walking a golden retriever. Ethan claimed their usual spot, a stretch of sand near where the parking lot opened onto the beach, far enough from the water to feel safe, close enough that Lily could run to the waves while he watched. "Can I go look for shells?" Lily asked before he'd even finished spreading their faded blanket. "Shoes off first," Ethan said, already knowing she'd forget. "And not too far. I want to see you the whole time." Lily kicked off her sandals with theatrical impatience, then took off running, her laughter trailing behind her like kite string. Ethan watched her dance along the waterline, the morning sun turning her hair to gold, and felt that familiar ache of love so intense it bordered on pain. Rebecca should be here. The thought arrived unbidden, as it always did in moments like this. Rebecca, with her easy laugh and natural warmth, who'd made parenting look effortless, while Ethan constantly felt like he was failing some test he hadn't studied for. He pushed the thought away and busied himself with unpacking their beach bag. Towels, sunscreen, the cooler with sandwiches he'd made at dawn, water bottles, the first aid kit he'd started carrying everywhere after Lily scraped her knee badly last summer. "Daddy, look!" Lily held up something small and white, her face bright with triumph. "That's a great shell, Lilybug," Ethan called back. "Keep looking. I bet you find even better ones." She needed this, he thought. Needed mornings that felt normal, experiences that had nothing to do with hospital rooms or past due notices or the careful rationing of joy that had become their daily reality. An hour passed in easy contentment. Ethan helped Lily build an elaborate sandcastle, complete with a moat she insisted on filling bucket by bucket, despite his gentle suggestions that the ocean might have other plans. When the castle was finished, lopsided and imperfect and absolutely perfect, Lily declared it needed a flag. "I'll make one from this," she announced, holding up a piece of driftwood and some seaweed. "It'll be the best flag ever." While she worked on her creation, Ethan's attention drifted to a figure walking along the distant shoreline. Something about the person's solitary movement caught his eye. They walked slowly, pausing occasionally to look out at the horizon, then continuing with an almost measured deliberation. As the figure drew closer, recognition hit Ethan like a physical blow. Claire Morgan. Here, on his beach. She looked nothing like the woman who inhabited the executive offices at Meridian Creative. Gone was the severe suit, the rigid posture, the armor of professional distance. Instead, she wore simple denim shorts and a loose white cotton shirt, her dark hair, which Ethan had never seen down, falling in natural waves past her shoulders. She was barefoot, carrying her sandals in one hand. Without the trappings of corporate authority, she looked younger, softer, almost vulnerable in a way that seemed impossible for the Ice Queen. Ethan's first instinct was to hide. The last thing he needed was an awkward encounter with his boss, the woman who likely held his employment fate in her hands, on what was supposed to be a simple escape from real life. He could pack up quickly, make some excuse to Lily about needing to leave early. "Daddy, I'm hungry." Lily appeared at his elbow, covered in sand and grinning. "Can I have my sandwich now?" Ethan refocused on his daughter, pushing thoughts of Claire from his mind. "Let's get you cleaned up first, Bug." He helped Lily rinse her hands with the water bottle they'd brought, then reached for the cooler, mashal. Inside were the sandwiches he'd made that morning, peanut butter and banana on wheat bread, crust carefully cut off the way Lily preferred. "Is that peanut butter?" Lily asked, peering into the container with sudden suspicion. Your favorite, Ethan confirmed, already sensing trouble. Peanut butter and banana, crust cut off, just how you like it. Lily's nose wrinkled in exaggerated disgust. I don't like peanut butter anymore. Ethan felt his patience, already worn thin from sleepless nights and constant worry, begin to fray. Since when? Since yesterday, Lily announced with the absolute certainty only a 6-year-old could muster. Madison at school said peanut butter is for babies, and I'm not a baby. Well, it's what we have today, sweetheart, Ethan said, trying to keep the frustration from his voice. The careful meal planning, the grocery budget stretched to breaking, the early morning effort to make something she'd enjoy. All of it suddenly inadequate because of what some kid at school had said. Just try a few bites, okay? He tried. You loved it last week. Lily's lower lip began to tremble, that telltale sign of an impending meltdown Ethan knew too well. Her eyes filled with tears, and he could see the tantrum building like a storm on the horizon. Before he could attempt to negotiate, a shadow fell across their blanket. Excuse me, said a voice Ethan recognized immediately, though it sounded different here, warmer, less clipped, almost gentle. I couldn't help overhearing. I have an extra turkey sandwich if that might help. Ethan looked up, squinting against the sun to see Claire Morgan standing beside their blanket. She held out a neatly wrapped sandwich, her expression open and kind, in a way he'd never witnessed in the office. Up close, without makeup and professional styling, Ethan noticed details he'd never registered before. Light freckles dusted across the bridge of her nose. Her eyes, which always appeared almost black in office lighting, were actually a warm brown with flecks of amber. Fine laugh lines creased the corners of those eyes, suggesting a capacity for joy that seemed at odds with her ice queen reputation. Miss Morgan, Ethan managed, scrambling to his feet and immediately feeling self-conscious about his old t-shirt and the sand covering his legs. We wouldn't want to impose. Please, it's Claire outside the office, she said, and her smile transformed her entire face. The severe lines Ethan associated with her dissolved into something genuine and startlingly beautiful. And it's no imposition at all. I always pack too much food, habit from growing up with 3 brothers who ate everything in sight. Lily, suddenly shy, pressed against Ethan's leg, her earlier tantrum forgotten in the presence of this stranger who somehow felt important. Claire crouched down to Lily's level, still holding out the sandwich. Her movement was fluid, unconscious, the gesture of someone comfortable around children. Hi there, Claire said softly. I'm Claire. What's your name? Lily, came the whispered reply. Lily. Claire repeated the name as if testing its sound. That's such a beautiful name. Like the flower. I have this extra sandwich, and it would make me very happy if you would have it. It's turkey with a little bit of honey mustard. My niece says it's the best sandwich in the world, but I need an expert opinion. Do you think you could help me? Lily giggled, her shyness evaporating under Claire's gentle attention. I can be an expert. I knew it, Claire said with complete seriousness. You definitely look like a sandwich expert. She handed over the carefully wrapped sandwich, then straightened, meeting Ethan's gaze directly. She's wonderful, Claire said, and the sincerity in her voice was unmistakable. Thank you, Ethan replied, feeling oddly vulnerable. For the sandwich, and for the compliment. The words hung between them for a moment. Ethan was acutely aware of the inappropriateness of the situation. His boss, on his beach, sharing food with his daughter. Yet nothing about the moment felt wrong. Would you like to join us? The invitation escaped before he could consider its wisdom. I mean, if you're not busy, or meeting someone, we wouldn't want to intrude on your— I'd like that, Claire interrupted, surprising him. If you're sure I'm not intruding on your father-daughter time. Daddy, can she stay? Lily asked, already unwrapping her sandwich. Please. And so Claire Morgan, the ice queen, the hatchet woman brought in to gut the company, the boss Ethan had been avoiding for weeks, kicked off her sandals and settled cross-legged on their worn beach blanket as if it were the most natural thing in the world. The conversation that followed defied every expectation Ethan had built around this woman. Claire asked Lily questions about school, listening with genuine interest as Lily rambled about her teacher and playground politics, and the injustice of assigned seating at lunch. She laughed at Lily's jokes, even the ones that weren't particularly funny, and when Lily showed her the lopsided sandcastle, Claire examined it with the seriousness of an art critic. "The moat is particularly well designed," Claire said, crouching beside the structure. "And I love the flag. Very creative use of materials." Lily beamed under the praise, and Ethan found himself studying Claire when she wasn't looking. The way sunlight caught in her dark hair. How easily her laugh came, free and unguarded. The patient way she spoke to Lily, without the condescension some adults used with children. This woman bore no resemblance to the intimidating executive he thought he knew. When Lily ran off to collect more shells, leaving the adults alone, an awkward silence threatened to descend. Ethan scrambled for something to say, suddenly aware of how little he knew about Claire beyond her professional reputation. "She looks like you," Claire said, still watching Lily at the water's edge. "Same smile." Ethan felt surprise ripple through him. "Everyone says she's the image of her mother." Claire shook her head slightly. "Maybe in coloring, but that smile is all yours, the one that lights up your whole face." She paused, then added softly, "The one we rarely see at the office." Heat rose to Ethan's cheeks. He wasn't used to personal observations from his boss, wasn't sure how to respond to this glimpse of familiarity. "Work hasn't given me much reason to smile lately," he admitted, then immediately regretted the honesty. Too much, too vulnerable. Claire's expression grew serious. "I know the company's been struggling. It was having problems long before I came on board." The opening hung there, and before Ethan could stop himself, the question escaped. "Are the layoff rumors true?" Claire looked at him for a long moment, something unreadable moving behind her eyes. "This isn't a conversation we should have here, Ethan." "I understand. I shouldn't have asked." He looked away, watching Lily arrange shells in careful patterns on the wet sand. "I'm sorry." "What I can tell you," Claire continued unexpectedly, her voice quiet but clear, "is that I've been reviewing everyone's work very carefully, including yours." Ethan's stomach tightened. Here it came, the polite preamble to bad news delivered in a beautiful setting. "I know I've missed deadlines recently," he said quickly. "Lily was sick and you're raising her alone," Claire finished for him. "I'm aware of your situation, Ethan." Of course she was. HR would have all the details in his file. Single father, widower, financial struggles, all the red flags that made him a liability in corporate eyes. "The Westfield campaign," Claire said, changing direction so smoothly Ethan almost got whiplash. "That was your concept, wasn't it?" Ethan nodded cautiously. The Westfield campaign had been one of his stronger ideas, a series of emotional narratives about family connection. Johnson, his supervisor, had taken most of the credit during the client presentation. "I thought so," Claire said. "It had your signature style. Simple, but emotionally resonant. You have a gift for understanding what moves people, Ethan. It's rare in our industry." The compliment caught him completely off guard. In 6 months, he'd never heard Claire offer personal praise. Professional feedback, yes, but never this kind of recognition. "Thank you," he managed. Claire was quiet for a moment, watching the waves roll in and retreat. "I lost my father when I was 8, she said suddenly. "My mother raised 4 of us on her own. I know what Lily's going through, at least a little." The personal revelation stunned him. In 6 months of her presence at Meridian Creative, Ethan had never heard Claire mention anything about her private life. She was all business, all the time, or so everyone believed. "I'm sorry," Ethan said, meaning it deeply. "It's not easy for kids." "No," Claire agreed. "It's not easy at all. But having one parent who loves you fiercely makes all the difference." She turned to look at him directly, her eyes holding his. "Lily is lucky to have you." 7 words. Simple, straightforward, honest. Lily is lucky to have you. They hit Ethan with the force of a breaking wave. In 3 years of single parenthood, through all the doubts and struggles and midnight fears that he was failing his daughter, no one had ever said that to him. People offered sympathy. "I'm so sorry for your loss." They offered advice. "Have you tried getting her into therapy?" They offered help. "Let me know if you need anything." But no one had ever simply affirmed that his love was enough, that he was enough. His throat tightened unexpectedly. He blinked against the sudden burning in his eyes, looking away before Claire could see how deeply those 7 words had struck. "I don't always feel lucky," he admitted quietly. "Most days I feel like I'm barely keeping my head above water, like I'm failing her in 1,000 small ways." "That's what good parents feel," Claire said gently. "The ones who don't care enough to worry never question themselves. The fact that you doubt means you care enough to try getting it right." Ethan let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. Something shifted between them in that moment, some invisible wall dissolving. For the first time since Rebecca died, Ethan felt truly seen by another adult. Not pitied, not managed, but genuinely understood. Lily returned then, her arms full of shells and her face bright with discoveries. "Look what I found! This one is pink inside, and this one is shaped like a fan, and this one is so tiny." Claire leaned in to examine each treasure with the seriousness of a museum curator. "These are remarkable specimens," she said, "especially this pink one. That's quite rare." "Really?" Lily's eyes went wide. "Absolutely," Claire confirmed. "You have an excellent eye for shell hunting." They spent the next hour in easy companionship. Claire helped Lily sort her shell collection by size, then by color, creating elaborate classification systems that made Lily giggle. When Lily wanted to build another sandcastle, Claire joined in without hesitation, her designer clothes be damned, constructing towers and walls with focused attention. Ethan found himself studying Claire when she wasn't looking, the way she spoke to Lily as an equal, never condescending, how her laugh came easily, free and genuine, the patient way she answered Lily's endless questions about ocean currents and tide pools, and why some shells had holes in them. This wasn't the Ice Queen. This was someone else entirely, someone warm and engaged and surprisingly playful. As afternoon crept toward evening, Lily's energy finally flagged. She curled up on the blanket between Ethan and Claire, fighting sleep with the stubbornness only children possessed. "We should probably head home soon," Ethan said reluctantly. "Someone needs dinner and a bath." "I'm not tired," Lily protested through a yawn so huge it made Claire smile. "Of course not," Claire said seriously. "You're much too busy for being tired." Lily's eyes drifted closed despite her protests. Within minutes, she was asleep, her head pillowed on Ethan's leg. Claire looked at the sleeping child with an expression of such tenderness it made Ethan's chest ache. "She's really wonderful, Ethan. She's the best thing that ever happened to me," he said quietly. "Even on the hard days, especially on the hard days. Can I ask you something?" Claire's voice was soft, almost hesitant. "Of course." "What happened to her mother? You don't have to answer if it's too personal." Ethan looked out at the ocean, gathering words for a story he'd told too many times but never found easier. Rebecca had a brain aneurysm 3 years ago. She was perfectly healthy one day, gone the next. Lily was 3. She barely remembers her now, which somehow makes it both easier and harder. "I'm so sorry," Claire said, and the simplicity of it felt more genuine than the elaborate condolences others had offered. "We're managing," Ethan said. "Some days better than others." They sat in comfortable silence for a while, the waves providing a gentle soundtrack. Ethan was aware of Claire beside him, close enough that he could smell her sunscreen and something else, maybe coconut shampoo. "I should let you two get home," Claire finally said, though she made no move to stand. "I've taken up most of your beach day." "You made it better," Ethan heard himself say. "Lily had a great time. I had a great time. It was nice to just be normal for a while. Does that make sense?" "Perfect sense," Claire said, smiling. "I had a great time too. I can't remember the last time I spent an afternoon just playing in the sand." As they began packing up, Lily woke briefly, her eyes focused on Claire with sleepy recognition. "Do you have to go?" Lily asked. "I'm afraid so, sweetheart," Claire said gently. "But maybe I'll see you again sometime." "We come most weekends," Ethan found himself saying. "Weather permitting, you'd be welcome to join us again, if you wanted." The invitation hung in the air between them. Ethan held his breath, suddenly worried he'd overstepped some invisible boundary. Something flickered in Claire's eyes. Surprise, maybe, or pleasure. "I'd like that very much." Lily, more alert now, suddenly grabbed Claire's hand. "Wait, I want to give you something." She dug through her carefully collected shells and selected the prettiest one, a perfect spiral with hints of pink and cream swirling through its interior. "This is for you," Lily announced, pressing it into Claire's palm. "So you remember today." Claire looked at the shell, then at Lily, and her eyes grew bright. "This is beautiful, Lily. I'll treasure it always." "Thank you." She pulled Lily into a gentle hug, and Ethan watched his daughter sink into the embrace with easy trust. Something in his chest cracked open at the sight. They parted ways in the parking lot. Claire headed toward the modest sedan that seemed at odds with her executive salary. Ethan had expected something sleek and expensive. She waved as she pulled away, Lily's shell visible on her dashboard. Ethan loaded their beach gear into his old Honda, Lily chattering sleepily about what a nice lady Miss Claire was, and could they see her again next weekend? "Maybe," Ethan said, buckling her into her car seat. "We'll see." But as he drove home through the fading light, Ethan couldn't stop thinking about those 7 words. "Lily is lucky to have you." They echoed in his mind, settling into places that had been hollow for too long. For the first time in 3 years, something that felt dangerously close to hope stirred in his chest. That night, after Lily was bathed and storied and tucked into bed, Ethan sat alone with his laptop. The job listings stared back at him, same as always, but somehow they felt less urgent, less like inevitable failure and more like safety nets he hoped he wouldn't need. His phone buzzed with an email notification. His heart jumped when he saw the sender, Claire Morgan. The subject line read simply, "Thank you." Ethan opened it with trembling fingers. "Ethan, thank you for allowing me to share your beach day. Lily is delightful, and spending the afternoon with both of you was exactly what I needed. I meant what I said. She's lucky to have you. I hope we can do it again sometime. See you Monday, Claire." Ethan read the message 3 times, analyzing every word choice, every comma, professional yet personal, warm but not presumptuous. He drafted and deleted 5 responses before settling on something simple. "Claire, thank you for the sandwich and the company. We'd love to see you next Saturday if you're free. Ethan." He hit send before he could overthink it, then sat staring at his inbox as if she might respond immediately at 10 o'clock on a Saturday night. She didn't. But sleep came easier that night than it had in weeks. The weekend passed in a blur of laundry and grocery shopping and the ordinary chaos of single parenthood. Lily asked about Claire repeatedly. Would she come back? Did she like the shell? Would she help build more sandcastles? "I don't know, Bug," Ethan said each time. "We'll have to wait and see." Monday morning arrived with the usual chaos of getting Lily ready for school and himself prepared for work. As he entered Meridian Creative's office building, Ethan felt a strange flutter of nerves. Would Claire acknowledge their beach encounter, or would she revert to the cool professionalism that defined their workplace relationship? He needn't have wondered long. Before he'd even reached his desk, an email notification appeared on his phone. Claire Morgan requesting his presence in her office at 10 o'clock. The message was brief, professional, revealing nothing about Saturday's interaction. Ethan spent the next 2 hours alternating between focused work and anxious speculation. Was this the layoff conversation he'd been dreading? Had he crossed some line by inviting her to join them again? At precisely 10 o'clock, he knocked on Claire's office door. "Come in," called her voice, warmer than he'd expected. Claire sat behind her desk, hair pulled into its usual severe bun, dressed in a charcoal suit that screamed authority. Yet when she looked up, her smile reached her eyes in a way it never had before Saturday. "Ethan, thank you for coming. Please, sit down." He took the chair across from her, noticing for the first time a small object on her otherwise immaculate desk. Lily's pink spiral shell, displayed on a small stand as if it were precious art. Claire followed his gaze and smiled. "I told Lily I'd treasure it. I meant that." "She'll be happy to know it has a place of honor," Ethan said, feeling some of his tension ease. Claire's expression shifted to professional focus. "I wanted to speak with you about your role here at Meridian." Ethan's heart sank. Here it came. "As you know, we're making some organizational changes," Claire continued. "The creative department needs stronger leadership, someone who understands both the technical aspects of design and the emotional core of what makes campaigns connect with people." He nodded, bracing himself for the blow. "I'd like to offer you the position of creative director." Ethan stared at her, certain he'd misheard. The words didn't make sense in the order she'd arranged them. I'm sorry, what? Claire's smile widened slightly. Creative director. Johnson is leaving for a position with our competitors. His choice, I should add. I need someone with vision to take his place. Your work shows a depth of understanding that's rare, Ethan. The company needs that perspective, especially now. But my missed deadlines, Ethan managed. The time off for Lily when she was sick. You've managed to produce exceptional work despite personal challenges that would break most people? Claire interrupted gently. Imagine what you could do with proper support and resources. Ethan struggled to process what she was saying. Creative director meant more money, more stability, more... This would be a significant promotion, he said stupidly, still trying to catch up. Yes, Claire confirmed, with a corresponding salary increase and more flexible hours. The role would require some evening work occasionally, but you could do much of it from home after Lily is asleep. She leaned forward slightly. I designed this position with your situation in mind, Ethan. The company needs your talent, but I understand that Lily needs her father. The thoughtfulness behind the offer, the careful consideration of his life, his daughter, his circumstances, left Ethan momentarily speechless. I don't know what to say, he finally managed. Say yes, Claire replied simply. Yes, Ethan said, the word emerging with more force than he'd intended. Absolutely yes. Thank you, Claire. I won't let you down. I know you won't, she said, and he believed that she believed it. They spent the next 20 minutes discussing logistics, transition timelines, the projects he'd be overseeing. Claire had thought of everything, anticipated questions before he could ask them, structured the role to maximize both his strengths and his availability as a parent. As the meeting wound down, Claire's professional demeanor softened slightly. There's one more thing, she said, of a more personal nature. Ethan waited, curious. Your invitation to join you and Lily at the beach again, was that genuine or just politeness? The question caught him off guard. It was genuine. Lily hasn't stopped talking about you since Saturday, and He hesitated, then decided honesty was worth the risk. I really enjoyed your company. Both of us did. Claire's smile transformed her face. I'm glad, because I'd very much like to take you up on that invitation. Relief flooded through Ethan so powerfully he felt dizzy. Saturday, then, he said, trying to keep his voice steady. Same spot? Around 9? I'll be there. Claire's eyes held his for a moment longer than strictly professional. And Ethan? We should probably establish some boundaries. I'm your boss here at Meridian. That won't change, but outside these walls, I'd like the chance to get to know you and Lily without those roles defining us. Can we keep those worlds separate? I'd like that, Ethan said, understanding immediately what she was protecting. Not just professional ethics, but something more fragile. The possibility of connection without the weight of corporate hierarchy crushing it before it could form. Good. Claire stood, extending her hand across the desk. Then I'll see you Saturday. And congratulations, creative director. Her handshake was firm, professional, but her smile was something else entirely. Ethan walked back to his desk feeling like he'd stepped into someone else's life. Creative director, financial stability, a boss who somehow saw him as more than just an employee struggling to keep his head above water. The morning had rewritten his entire future in the space of 30 minutes. You look like you won the lottery, said Marcus Chen, the junior designer whose desk faced Ethan's. What happened in there? Promotion, Ethan said, still not quite believing it. Creative director. Marcus's eyes went wide. Johnson's spot? Seriously? Man, congratulations, that's huge. The news spread through the creative department like wildfire. Ethan fielded congratulations and curious questions for the rest of the morning, all while trying to focus on the work that had just become exponentially more important. He was leading this team now. He couldn't afford to fail. Lunch came and went. Ethan ate a sandwich at his desk while reviewing campaign files, trying to get up to speed on projects Johnson had been managing. The responsibility felt enormous, but for the first time in years he felt capable of carrying it. His phone buzzed with a text from his neighbor, Mrs. Patterson, who picked Lily up from school on days when Ethan had to work late. Lily wants to know if you remembered to tell Miss Claire about Saturday. She's very concerned you might forget. Ethan smiled, typing back, "All set. Miss Claire will be there." The afternoon passed in a blur of meetings and project reviews. At 5 o'clock, Ethan packed up his things and headed out to collect Lily from Mrs. Patterson's apartment down the hall. "Daddy!" Lily launched herself at him the moment he walked through the door. "Did you see Miss Claire? Is she coming on Saturday? Did you remember to ask?" "Yes, yes, and yes," Ethan said, laughing as he caught her. "She's very excited to see you again." "I knew it!" Lily turned to Mrs. Patterson triumphantly. "I told you she liked us." Mrs. Patterson, a grandmother of 5 with silver hair and endless patience, smiled at Ethan. "She's been talking about this Miss Claire all afternoon. Must be quite a lady." "She is," Ethan said, surprised by how easily the admission came. That night, after dinner and homework and the usual bedtime routine, Lily asked the question Ethan had been half expecting. "Daddy, is Ms. Claire going to be your girlfriend?" Ethan paused in the middle of tucking her favorite blanket around her. "What makes you ask that, Bug?" "Because you smiled a lot when you talked about her," Lily said with the simple logic of childhood. "You don't smile like that very much anymore. Not since Mommy went to heaven." The observation hit Ethan squarely in the chest. He sat on the edge of her bed, choosing his words carefully. "Ms. Claire is my friend," he said, "and your friend too. That's all right now. Is that okay with you?" Lily considered this seriously. "I think Mommy would like her. Miss Claire is nice and she knows about shells, and she doesn't talk to me like I'm a baby." "I think Mommy would like her too," Ethan agreed, his throat tight. "Now sleep, Lilybug. Big day tomorrow." "Every day is a big day," Lily said, yawning. "That's what you always tell me." "Smart kid." Ethan kissed her forehead. "Love you to the moon." "And back again," Lily finished sleepily. He left her door cracked open, the hallway light spilling into her room the way she preferred. In the living room, he sank onto the couch and let out a long breath. The week that followed was a whirlwind. Ethan dove into his new role with focused intensity, determined to prove Claire's faith in him wasn't misplaced. He restructured project teams, implemented new workflow systems, and held one-on-one meetings with every designer to understand their strengths and concerns. The response was overwhelmingly positive. People who'd been wary of him suddenly opened up, sharing ideas they'd kept quiet under Johnson's dismissive leadership. Ethan found himself energized by the work in ways he hadn't experienced since before Rebecca died. At the office, Claire maintained perfect professionalism. She addressed him as Mr. Walker in meetings, kept their interactions focused on business, and gave no indication that they'd spent a Saturday building sandcastles. But occasionally, Ethan would catch her eye across a conference room, and something would pass between them. A shared understanding, a private warmth that had nothing to do with corporate hierarchies. Wednesday evening, Ethan was working late when Claire stopped by his new office. She leaned against the doorframe, jacket off and hair beginning to escape its usual tight bun. "You're still here," she observed. "Could say the same about you," Ethan replied, glancing up from his laptop. "Just finishing the Hartley pitch." "How's it coming?" "Good, I think. Want to take a look?" Claire crossed to his desk, standing behind his chair to review the presentation on his screen. Ethan was acutely aware of her proximity, the faint scent of her perfume, the way she leaned forward to read the copy. "This is excellent," she said after a moment. "The emotional hook in the opening is exactly what they need. You've got a real gift for this, Ethan." "Thank you," he said, meaning it. "That means a lot coming from you." Claire straightened but didn't move away. "Can I ask you something personal?" "Of course." "Are you nervous about Saturday?" The question surprised him. "A little. Are you?" "Terrified," Claire admitted with a small laugh. "I keep worrying I'll revert to work mode and start critiquing Lily's sandcastle structural integrity or something equally inappropriate." Ethan grinned. "I think you're safe. You were pretty amazing with her last time." "She makes it easy," Claire said softly. "She's got this openness, this trust. It reminds me of my youngest brother when he was that age, before life taught him to guard himself." "What changed?" Ethan asked. Claire was quiet for a moment. "Our father's death? Our mother working 3 jobs? Growing up too fast because someone had to help hold things together." She shook her head. Sorry, that got heavier than I intended. Don't apologize, Ethan said. I asked because I wanted to know. Their eyes met and held. The office around them felt very quiet, very still. I should let you finish up, Claire said finally. But Ethan, I'm really looking forward to Saturday. Me too, he said, and meant it more than he'd meant anything in a long time. Friday night, Lily was so excited she could barely sleep. Ethan found her at midnight, sitting at her window and staring out at the dark street below. Can't sleep either? He asked from her doorway. I'm too happy, Lily said simply. Is that weird? Ethan crossed to sit beside her on the window seat. Not weird at all. What are you happy about? Tomorrow. And you smiling more. And Miss Claire. Lily leaned against him. And you got the new job that makes you less worried about money. Mrs. Patterson said that's a big deal. Mrs. Patterson talks too much, Ethan said, but gently. But yes, it's a big deal. Things are going to be easier for us now, Bug. Are we rich? Lily asked hopefully. Not rich, but comfortable, which is almost better. Can we get pizza tomorrow night? The kind with the stuffed crust? Ethan laughed. Sure, Bug. Stuffed crust pizza to celebrate. Saturday morning dawned clear and perfect. They arrived at the beach early, as usual, claiming their spot with practiced ease. Lily was vibrating with anticipation, checking the parking lot every few minutes. She'll be here, Ethan assured her. It's only 9:50. But what if she forgot? Or what if she got lost? Or what if... There she is, Ethan said, spotting Claire's sedan pulling into the lot. Lily took off running before Ethan could stop her. He watched his daughter race across the sand toward Claire, who'd just stepped out of her car carrying what looked like a kite and a beach bag. Claire crouched down to catch Lily's enthusiastic hug, laughing as she nearly toppled backward. Even from a distance, Ethan could see the genuine joy on her face. By the time he reached them, Lily was already chattering about all the things they could do today. I brought supplies, Claire said, holding up the kite. I thought we could try flying this. And I made cookies, chocolate chip, my niece's recipe. You didn't have to do all that, Ethan said. I wanted to, Claire replied simply. Besides, I've been looking forward to this all week. The morning unfolded with easy rhythm. They flew the kite, or tried to, with varying degrees of success that left all three of them laughing. They built an elaborate sand city complete with roads and bridges. They ate Claire's cookies, which were indeed excellent, and searched for shells along the waterline. Around noon, Lily announced she was going to explore the tide pools they could see in the distance. Not alone, Ethan said automatically. I'll go with her, Claire offered. If that's okay? Ethan nodded, watching them walk off together, Lily's small hand tucked trustingly into Claire's. The sight did something strange to his heart. They returned 20 minutes later, Lily clutching a small bucket filled with treasures and chattering excitedly about the tiny crabs they'd discovered. Miss Claire knows everything about ocean animals, Lily announced. She told me about starfish that can grow their arms back and fish that change colors. Marine biology minor in college, Claire explained, looking slightly embarrassed. Seemed practical at the time. It's impressive, Ethan said. I can barely remember high school biology. After lunch, sandwiches Claire had brought along with drinks and fruit, Lily curled up on the blanket, exhausted from the morning's adventures. Just resting my eyes, she mumbled, even as they drifted closed. Within minutes, she was asleep, her head pillowed on Ethan's beach bag. Claire smiled at the sleeping child. She has so much energy until she just crashes. Story of her life, Ethan agreed. Thanks for being so great with her today. She's been talking about nothing else all week. I loved every minute, Claire said, and he could hear the sincerity in her voice. When was the last time you had a day like this, just enjoying yourself without worrying about everything else? Ethan thought about it. Before Rebecca died. We used to come here every weekend, all three of us. After she was gone, I kept coming because it was the one place that still felt like hers, like ours. But it's been more obligation than enjoyment for a while now. And today? Claire asked softly. Today felt different, Ethan admitted. Lighter, like maybe it's okay to make new memories here instead of just protecting old ones. They sat in comfortable silence for a while, watching the waves. Finally, Claire spoke. Can I tell you something? She asked. About why I was here that first day we met. Please. Claire drew patterns in the sand with her finger. My father used to bring us to this beach when I was young, every Sunday without fail, unless it was pouring rain. After he died, my mother was too busy working to continue the tradition. We stopped coming. She paused, gathering her thoughts. I started coming back a few months ago, after my divorce was finalized. I needed somewhere to remember who I was outside of work, outside of a failed marriage. This beach was the only place I could think of where I'd been truly happy. I'm sorry about your divorce, Ethan said quietly. Claire shrugged, but he could see the old hurt in her eyes. Richard wanted a corporate wife, someone decorative and accommodating who would make him look good at company events. When I was promoted above him at my previous company, the marriage became inconvenient for his ego. That must have been hard. It was a relief, honestly, Claire said. The hard part was admitting I'd married someone who saw me as an accessory instead of a partner. She looked at him directly. What about you? Have you dated since Rebecca? The question was asked casually, but Ethan sensed its importance. No, he said. Between work and Lily, there hasn't been time. Or maybe those are just excuses. The truth is, the idea of starting over with someone new seemed impossible, like I'd be betraying Rebecca's memory somehow. Grief doesn't follow a timeline, Claire said gently. Neither does healing. Lily asks about it sometimes, Ethan found himself admitting. She saw a movie where a single dad found a new mom for his daughter. She wanted to know if I would find her a new mom someday. Claire's expression was carefully neutral. What did you tell her? That if someone special ever came into our lives, it wouldn't be about finding her a new mom. It would be about finding someone who made our family feel more complete, not someone to replace what we lost. Ethan kicked at the sand. I'm not sure she understood. I think that was a beautiful answer, Claire said, and very wise. They walked along the shoreline after Lily woke up, the three of them kicking through shallow water and collecting smooth stones. When the afternoon began to fade, they packed up reluctantly. Can Miss Claire come to dinner? Lily asked as they loaded the car. Please, Daddy. We're getting pizza with stuffed crust and everything. Ethan glanced at Claire, leaving the decision to her. She smiled. I'd love to, she said. If you're sure I'm not imposing. You're not, Ethan said quickly. We'd both really like it if you came. They caravaned to a pizza place near Ethan's apartment, a cheerful family restaurant with checkered tablecloths and a jukebox playing oldies. Lily insisted on sitting between Ethan and Claire in the booth, keeping up a steady stream of conversation between bites of pizza. This is the best day ever, she announced, sauce on her chin. Can we do this every Saturday forever? That's a long time, Claire said, smiling, but I'd be happy to do it for as many Saturdays as you'll have me. After dinner, they walked to Ethan's apartment. He felt suddenly self-conscious about the modest space, the worn furniture, the stack of Lily's drawings covering the refrigerator. But Claire looked around with what seemed like genuine interest. It's wonderful, she said. It feels like a real home. Lived in and loved. It's small, Ethan found himself apologizing. It's perfect, Claire countered. My condo is twice this size and half as warm. Lily gave Claire the grand tour, showing off her room with its carefully arranged seashell collection and walls covered in artwork. Claire admired everything with patient attention, asking questions about each treasure. This one is my favorite, Lily said, pointing to a large spiral shell on her desk. Daddy said it's called a conch. It's from when Mommy was still alive. We found it together. Claire's expression softened. That makes it very special indeed. Do you want to see a picture of her? Lily asked. Of my mommy? Ethan tensed, unsure how this would play out, but Claire simply nodded. I'd like that very much. Lily pulled a framed photo from her nightstand. This is from my 3rd birthday. See, that's me and Daddy and Mommy. We had a princess cake. Claire took the photo carefully, studying it. You look so happy together. Your mom was beautiful, Lily. You have her eyes. Everyone says that, Lily said, but Daddy says I smile like him. You do, Claire agreed, glancing at Ethan. The very best smile. After Lily's bath, she insisted Claire help with bedtime stories. They read 3 books together, Lily sandwiched between them, her eyes growing heavy as Claire's soft voice wove through familiar tales. Can Ms. Claire tuck me in? Lily asked when the last story ended. If she wants to, Ethan said, looking to Claire. I'd be honored, Claire said. Ethan watched from the doorway as Claire pulled the blanket up under Lily's chin, smoothed her hair back from her forehead. Thank you for sharing your beach with me, Claire said softly. And your shells, and your daddy, and your stories. Today was really special. You're special, Lily said, already half asleep. That's why we like you. I like you too, sweetheart, very much. Will you come back? Lily's voice was drowsy. Every Saturday you'll have me, Claire promised. In the living room, after Lily was asleep, Claire and Ethan sat on the couch with glasses of wine. The apartment was quiet except for the ambient noise of the city outside, distant traffic, a dog barking, someone's television through thin walls. Thank you for today, Ethan said, and for being so wonderful with Lily. She's been through a lot and she doesn't trust easily, but she trusts you. She's an amazing kid, Claire said. You've done an incredible job with her, Ethan, truly. I never thought I'd feel this comfortable with anyone again, Ethan confessed. After Rebecca died, I built this wall around Lily and me. It felt safer that way, contained. And now? Claire asked gently. Now I'm wondering if we've been missing something important by staying behind that wall. He set his wine glass down, gathering courage. Claire, I need to be honest about something. She waited, her expression open but guarded. I'm falling in love with you, he said simply, and it terrifies me. Claire's breath caught. For a moment she was perfectly still. Then she reached out, her fingers gently touching his face. Why does it terrify you? She asked. Because I've lost someone I loved before, Ethan said. Because you're my boss. And if this goes wrong, it complicates everything. Because Lily adores you. And if you disappeared from her life... He shook his head. But mostly because I never expected to feel this way again. And now that I do, I'm afraid of how much it matters. Claire moved closer, her eyes never leaving his. When my marriage ended, I convinced myself that love wasn't for me, that I was better off focusing on my career, on measurable achievements that couldn't disappoint me. She took his hand, her fingers intertwining with his. Then I met you and Lily on that beach, and you said something that day I can't forget. What was that? You told Lily that the sandcastle didn't need to be perfect. It just needed to be built with love. You said imperfect things made with love are always more beautiful than perfect things without it. Claire smiled. I'd spent my whole life trying to be perfect, Ethan. Perfect daughter, perfect student, perfect executive. And I was lonely. So lonely. She cupped his face with both hands. I'm falling in love with you too. With both of you. And yes, it's complicated and messy, and probably breaks a dozen HR policies. But for the first time in my life, I don't want perfect. I want real. When they kissed, it felt like coming home to a place Ethan had forgotten existed. Not the desperate passion of youth, but something deeper, recognition, belonging. The quiet certainty of two people who'd found each other despite every reason they shouldn't have. They sat together long after the kiss ended, talking in low voices about fears and hopes and the careful steps they'd need to take. They agreed to move slowly, to prioritize Lily's emotional well-being, to maintain professional boundaries at work even as they explored personal ones outside it. I don't know what the future holds, Claire said as midnight approached, but I know that being with you and Lily feels more right than anything in my life has felt in years. Stay, Ethan heard himself say. Not like that, he added quickly, seeing her expression. Just stay a little longer. I'm not ready for tonight to end. So they stayed, talking until exhaustion finally claimed them both. When Ethan woke just before dawn, he found they'd fallen asleep on the couch, Claire's head on his shoulder, his arm around her. He watched her sleep in the growing light, this woman who'd walked into his life disguised as his intimidating boss and revealed herself to be something he'd stopped believing existed, a second chance. Claire stirred against his shoulder as sunlight filtered through the apartment windows. Her eyes opened slowly, focusing first on the unfamiliar ceiling, then on Ethan watching her. A soft smile curved her lips. Good morning, she whispered, her voice still rough with sleep. Morning, Ethan replied. Sorry, I didn't want to wake you. You looked peaceful. Claire sat up slowly, running her fingers through hair that had long since escaped its professional constraints. "What time is it?" "Just past 6. Ethan stretched, working out the kinks from sleeping upright. "I should probably start coffee before Lily wakes up. She's an early riser on weekends." "I should go," Claire said, though she made no move to stand. "Give you time with her before she finds me here and gets the wrong idea." "Or the right idea," Ethan said softly. Claire's eyes met his, warmth and uncertainty mingling in her expression. "Are we really doing this? Because once we start, once Lily sees us as something more than friends, there's no taking it back without hurting her." "I know," Ethan said. "That's what scares me most. Not us failing, but what that failure would mean for her." "Then we don't fail," Claire said with quiet determination. "We move slowly, we communicate honestly, and we put her first. Always." "Always," Ethan agreed. They heard movement from Lily's room, the soft padding of small feet on hardwood. Claire stood quickly, smoothing her rumpled clothes. "Bathroom?" she asked. Ethan pointed down the hall. Claire disappeared just as Lily emerged from her bedroom, clutching her rabbit and rubbing sleep from her eyes. "Daddy?" Lily's voice was confused. "Is Miss Claire still here?" "She fell asleep on the couch," Ethan explained, which was technically true. "She's just freshening up before she heads home." Lily's face brightened immediately. "Can she have breakfast with us, please? I want to show her how I make pancakes." "You mean how you make a mess while I make pancakes?" Ethan teased. "It's the same thing," Lily insisted. Claire emerged from the bathroom, her hair finger-combed into submission, looking remarkably composed for someone who'd just spent the night on a stranger's couch. "Good morning, Lily," she said warmly. "I hope you don't mind that I stayed so late. Your daddy and I were talking and I fell asleep." "You can stay for breakfast," Lily announced, taking Claire's hand. "Daddy makes really good pancakes, and I help." Claire looked to Ethan, who nodded. "If you have time, no pressure." "I'd love to," Claire said. The morning unfolded with domestic ease that felt both natural and slightly surreal. Lily insisted on showing Claire her pancake-making technique, which involved enthusiastically stirring batter until it sloshed over the bowl's edge. Claire jumped in to help, completely unconcerned about the flour dusting her expensive shirt. "You're really good at this," Lily observed, watching Claire flip pancakes with professional precision. "My brothers were bottomless pits growing up," Claire explained. "I learned to cook fast or starve. Pancakes were the only thing I could make in large enough quantities to satisfy 4 growing boys." "Did you like having brothers?" Lily asked. "Most of the time," Claire said, smiling. "They were annoying and loud and always stealing my things, but they also protected me and made me laugh. I wouldn't trade them for anything." "I wish I had brothers or sisters," Lily said wistfully. "Then I wouldn't be alone when Daddy has to work late." Ethan caught Claire's eye over Lily's head, saw understanding and something deeper in her expression. After breakfast, Claire reluctantly said her goodbyes. Lily extracted a promise for next Saturday, then gave Claire a hug that lasted long enough to make Ethan's throat tight. "I like when you're here," Lily said simply. "Everything feels happier." "I like being here," Claire replied, her voice soft. "Very much." Ethan walked Claire to her car. The morning sun was bright now, the apartment complex coming alive with weekend sounds. "Thank you," Claire said, leaning against her sedan. "For last night, for this morning, for everything. I haven't felt this light in years." "Same," Ethan said. He glanced around, checking for watching neighbors, then took her hand briefly. "We'll figure this out, together." "Together," Claire agreed, squeezing his fingers before letting go. The following week brought new rhythms and challenges. At work, maintaining professional distance while nursing these growing feelings required constant vigilance. Ethan found himself hyper-aware of Claire's presence in meetings, had to consciously avoid letting his eyes linger on her across conference rooms. Claire was equally careful. She addressed him formally in professional settings, distributed praise and critique evenly across the creative team, gave no indication that creative director Walker was anything more to her than a valued employee. But in small, private moments, the truth showed through. A shared glance across the break room, her fingers brushing his when she handed him documents, the way her professional mask slipped for just a second when their eyes met. "People are starting to talk," Marcus mentioned to Ethan on Thursday. his voice carefully neutral. Ethan's stomach dropped. About what? About how much time Ms. Morgan spends reviewing your projects personally. About how she smiles different when she's talking to you. Marcus shrugged. Probably nothing. You know how office gossip goes. People looking for drama where there isn't any. There's nothing inappropriate happening, Ethan said, which was technically true. They'd been scrupulously professional at work. I know, man. I'm just giving you a heads up. Some people have nothing better to do than invent stories. That evening, Ethan texted Claire. We need to talk. Office gossip starting. Her response came quickly. My place tomorrow after work? We can figure this out. Friday evening, Ethan dropped Lily at Mrs. Patterson's for a promised sleepover with her granddaughter, then drove to the address Claire had sent. Her condo was in a sleek high-rise overlooking the harbor, all glass and steel and money. The contrast to his modest apartment was stark. Ethan felt suddenly self-conscious as he rode the elevator to the 15th floor, wondering what he was doing dating someone so far out of his league. Claire answered the door in jeans and a soft sweater, her hair loose around her shoulders. The casual clothes helped, but the condo behind her was exactly what he'd feared. Minimalist furniture, expensive art, everything precisely placed and achingly tasteful. Come in, Claire said, stepping aside. Sorry about the sterile environment. I told you it doesn't feel like home. It's beautiful, Ethan said honestly. It's a showroom, Claire corrected. I've lived here 2 years and still haven't bothered to really settle in. After the divorce, I just wanted something clean and simple. Turns out clean and simple feels pretty lonely. She'd ordered dinner from a Thai place nearby. They ate on her balcony, watching the sun set over the water, discussing the office gossip situation. I can request a transfer to a different department, Ethan offered, if it becomes a real problem. No, Claire said firmly. You just got this position. You've earned it. I won't let office gossip derail your career. What about yours? Ethan countered. You're the one with more to lose. If people think you're showing favoritism. Let me handle the optics, Claire interrupted. I've been dealing with corporate politics longer than you have. Trust me. I do trust you, Ethan said. That's not the issue. I just don't want you sacrificing anything for me. Claire set down her wine glass, turning to face him fully. Ethan, listen to me carefully. What we have, what's developing between us, matters more to me than what anyone at Meridian Creative thinks. But we also have to be smart about this. Meaning? Meaning we maintain absolute professionalism at work. No private meetings behind closed doors unless absolutely necessary. No preferential treatment. I'll actually be harder on your projects than anyone else's to avoid any appearance of favoritism. That seems extreme, Ethan said. It's necessary, Claire insisted. At least until we figure out what this is and where it's going. Can you live with that? Ethan considered. It wouldn't be easy, seeing her every day and maintaining professional distance. But the alternative, rushing into something public and jeopardizing both their careers, seemed worse. Yes, he said, I can live with that. For now. For now, Claire agreed. She reached for his hand. But outside work, outside that building, I want this. I want us. Is that selfish? If it is, then I'm just as selfish, Ethan said, because I want it too. They spent the evening talking about everything except work. Claire showed him photos from her childhood, told stories about her brothers and her father's death, and learning to be strong because someone had to be. Ethan shared memories of Rebecca, finding it didn't hurt as much as he'd expected to speak her name with Claire. Do you think she'd approve? Claire asked quietly. Of us? Ethan thought about it seriously. Rebecca wanted me to be happy. She told me that in the hospital before she slipped into the coma, made me promise I wouldn't spend my life alone, that I'd let myself love again. He smiled sadly. I told her I'd never find anyone like her. She said I shouldn't try to find someone like her. I should find someone who made me feel whole in a different way. That's beautiful, Claire said, her eyes bright with unshed tears. She was pretty smart, Ethan agreed. Smarter than me about most things. Saturday arrived with the anticipation that had become their new normal. Lily was awake before dawn, too excited to sleep. She'd picked out her beach outfit the night before, laid out her favorite bucket and shovel, made Ethan promise 3 times they wouldn't be late. Claire was already at their usual spot when they arrived, setting up a beach tent she'd purchased during the week. "Shade," she explained at Ethan's questioning look. "I was reading about sun protection for children, and apparently we've been letting Lily burn." "We use sunscreen," Ethan protested. "Sunscreen plus shade is better," Claire said. "Trust me, I went down an internet research rabbit hole. Did you know UV rays are strongest between 10 and 4? We should really consider earlier beach times." Lily giggled. "Ms. Claire sounds like a mom." Claire froze for just a second, and Ethan saw uncertainty flash across her face. But then she smiled, ruffling Lily's hair. "Just trying to keep my favorite beach buddy safe, that's all." The moment passed, but Ethan filed it away. They'd need to have a conversation about expectations, about what role Claire would play in Lily's life if this relationship continued. But not today. Today was for building sand cities and flying kites, and pretending the complicated parts didn't exist. Around noon, Lily made friends with another girl her age, and they ran off to build sand sculptures together while the girl's parents watched from a nearby blanket. Ethan and Claire sat in the shade of the new tent, close enough that their shoulders touched. "Can I ask you something?" Claire said, her tone careful. "Always." "When Lily said I sounded like a mom, you saw my reaction. I panicked." "I noticed," Ethan said gently. "It's not that I don't want that," Claire continued, choosing her words carefully. "The idea of being part of Lily's life in that way, it's wonderful and terrifying in equal measure. I've never been a parent. I don't know if I'd be any good at it." "You're already good at it," Ethan said. "You have been since that first day with the sandwich. Lily responds to you in ways she doesn't with most adults." "But there's a difference between being the fun weekend person and being a real parental figure," Claire said. "What if I mess it up? What if I make promises I can't keep or damage her somehow?" Ethan turned to face her fully. "Claire, look at me. You're not going to damage her. And as for messing up, I mess up daily. That's what parenting is, a series of mistakes you hopefully recover from before causing lasting trauma." Claire laughed despite herself. "That's not reassuring." "It's honest," Ethan countered. "Nobody knows what they're doing. We're all just trying our best and hoping it's enough." "Is it enough?" Claire asked. "Your best?" "For Lily? It has to be. It's all I've got to give." Claire leaned against him, her head on his shoulder. "What if we do this wrong? What if we hurt each other, or worse, hurt her?" "Then we do our best to fix it," Ethan said. "Together. That's all anyone can do." They watched Lily play, her laughter carrying on the ocean breeze. The other girls' parents waved at them, and Ethan waved back, struck by how normal this felt. How right. "I'm falling harder every day," Claire confessed quietly. "It scares me how much I care about both of you already." "Good," Ethan said. "Because same, and misery loves company." That night, they had dinner at Ethan's apartment again. It was becoming a tradition, these Saturday evenings, that stretched into late nights of conversation after Lily went to sleep. Claire had brought ingredients to cook, insisting she wanted to make something special. Lily helped with preparation, standing on a chair at the counter while Claire taught her to dice vegetables under careful supervision. "My mom taught me to cook like this," Claire said, standing on a chair in our tiny kitchen, learning measurements and techniques. "Some of my best memories are from those afternoons." "What was she like?" Lily asked. "Your mom?" "Strong," Claire said. "Stronger than anyone I've ever met. After my dad died, she had to be mother and father both. She worked so hard to give us good lives." Claire's expression went soft with memory. "But she always made time to teach us things. How to cook, how to manage money, how to stand up for ourselves. She wanted us to be capable and independent." "Like you," Lily said. Claire smiled. "I'd like to think so. I try to make her proud." "I bet she's very proud," Lily said with the absolute certainty of childhood. Watching them together, Ethan felt something shift in his chest. This wasn't just attraction anymore, wasn't just the comfort of shared loneliness. This was a family forming, carefully and organically, built on foundation stones of trust and affection and genuine care. After dinner, Lily showed Claire her latest school project, a family tree she'd been working on. The branches showed her and Ethan, Rebecca's name carefully written in one section, grandparents Lily barely remembered in others. There's a lot of empty spaces, Lily said, pointing to blank branches. Ms. Howard says families come in all shapes and sizes, and we can include people who feel like family even if they're not related by blood. She looked up at Claire with hopeful eyes. Do you think maybe you could be on my tree? Not instead of Mommy, but in a different spot. Because you feel like family now. Claire's eyes filled with tears. She knelt beside Lily, taking the child's small hands in hers. I would be honored to be on your family tree, Lily. More honored than you could possibly know. Really? Lily's face lit up. I can add you? Really? Claire confirmed. After Lily went to bed, Ethan found Claire on the balcony, staring out at the city lights. He wrapped his arms around her from behind, and she leaned into him. That was a big moment in there, he said softly. I know, Claire replied. I didn't expect it to hit me so hard. Being asked to be part of her family, even symbolically. It felt like crossing a threshold. Are you okay with that? Ethan asked. We can slow down if this is moving too fast. Claire turned in his arms to face him. I don't want to slow down. That's what scares me. I've spent my whole adult life being careful and measured, but with you and Lily, I just want to dive in head first. Then dive, Ethan said. I'll catch you. Promise? Her voice was almost childlike in its vulnerability. Promise, he said, and sealed it with a kiss. The weeks that followed fell into comfortable patterns. Saturday beach days became sacred, their schedules revolving around that weekly anchor. Lily thrived under the attention of two adults who clearly adored her. Claire became fluent in Lily's world, learning her friends' names, her favorite books, the intricate politics of second-grade social dynamics. At work, they maintained careful distance. Claire was scrupulous about treating Ethan no differently than any other department head. If anything, she was slightly harder on his proposals, pushing him to refine ideas until they gleamed. The office gossip gradually died down, replaced by grudging respect for what everyone could see was an effective professional partnership. But in private moments, they built something real. Claire started keeping clothes at Ethan's apartment. Ethan got a key to her condo. They learned each other's rhythms, preferences, the small intimacies that transform strangers into partners. 2 months after that first beach meeting, Claire was at Ethan's apartment helping Lily with a science project when Ethan's phone rang. The number was unfamiliar, but something made him answer. Mr. Walker, this is Dr. Stevens from Mercy General Hospital. Your daughter, Lily Walker, is listed as a patient with us. Ethan's blood ran cold. Yes, that's right, from when she had pneumonia last year. I'm calling because we've been trying to reach you about an outstanding balance on that account. Our records show significant unpaid charges that have been sent to collections. The room tilted. Ethan had thought he'd settled those bills, had been making payments, had believed everything was under control. How much? He asked, his voice tight. $18,432, Dr. Stevens said. The account is severely delinquent, Mr. Walker. We need to discuss payment options. I'll call you back, Ethan managed, then disconnected. Claire was watching him, concern clear in her expression. What's wrong? Medical bills, Ethan said, sinking onto the couch. From when Lily was in the hospital. I thought I'd been paying them down, but apparently there was a separate bill I missed. $18,000. Oh, Ethan, Claire said softly. I don't have $18,000, Ethan said, the reality crushing. Even with the promotion, even with better money coming in, I can't cover that. They're going to sue me or garnish my wages or… Stop, Claire interrupted, sitting beside him. We'll figure this out. We? Ethan looked at her. This isn't your problem, Claire. Anything that hurts you or Lily is my problem now, Claire said firmly. That's what this is, right? Us? A partnership? I can't ask you to bail me out of this, Ethan protested. You're not asking. I'm offering. Claire took his hands. I have savings, Ethan. Money that's just sitting in accounts earning minimal interest. Let me help. No, Ethan said, pulling away. Absolutely not. I can't take your money. Why not? Claire challenged. Because of pride? Because of some outdated notion that men have to be providers and women can't help? That's ridiculous. It's not about that, Ethan said, though part of him knew she was right. It's about not wanting you to think I'm with you for financial security. About not becoming another person who uses you. Claire's expression softened. Ethan, I don't think that. I could never think that. You didn't even know I had money until recently, and you've never asked me for anything. Which is why I'm not starting now, Ethan insisted. They argued about it for an hour, voices carefully low so Lily wouldn't hear from her bedroom. Claire pushed, offering loans with formal repayment plans, offering to simply pay the bill as a gift. Ethan refused everything, his pride and fear tangling into stubborn resistance. Finally, Claire stood up. Fine, you won't let me help directly, but I can help you figure out other options. Will you at least let me do that? I can handle my own finances, Ethan said, hating how defensive he sounded. Can you? Claire shot back. Because $18,000 in missed medical bills suggests otherwise. The words hung between them, sharp and cutting. Claire's eyes widened immediately, regret clear in her expression. I'm sorry, she said quickly. That was uncalled for. I'm just frustrated because I care about you and I have the means to help and you won't let me. I need to handle this myself, Ethan said quietly. Why? Claire asked. Why do you need to struggle alone when you have someone who wants to share that burden? Because that's what I do, Ethan said, the truth finally emerging. I struggle alone. I've been doing it for 3 years. It's all I know how to do anymore. Claire knelt in front of him, taking his face in her hands. You don't have to do it alone anymore, Ethan. That's what I'm trying to tell you. I'm here. Let me be here for the hard stuff, not just the beach days and dinner dates. Ethan closed his eyes, feeling the weight of 3 years of solo parenting, financial stress, and carefully maintained control beginning to crack. I don't know how to let someone help me, he whispered. Then learn, Claire said gently. With me. We'll figure it out together. The silence stretched between them, heavy with everything unsaid. Finally, Ethan nodded, the gesture small but significant. Okay, he said. Help me figure out options. Not pay it for me, but help me navigate this. Can we start there? Yes, Claire said, relief flooding her features. We can absolutely start there. They spent the next hour at Ethan's kitchen table, laptop open between them, reviewing the hospital bill line by line. Claire's business acumen proved invaluable. She spotted duplicate charges, questioned procedures billed at emergency rates when they should have been routine, identified errors in insurance coding that had resulted in denied claims. This bill is inflated by at least 30%, Claire said, her voice sharp with professional authority. Half of these charges shouldn't exist. You need to dispute this formally, request an itemized audit, and file appeals with your insurance company. I wouldn't even know where to start, Ethan admitted. I do, Claire said. I dealt with similar issues when my youngest brother was in a car accident. The medical billing system is designed to be incomprehensible. They count on people being too overwhelmed to fight back. Will fighting back actually help? Ethan asked, exhaustion creeping into his voice. It can reduce the bill significantly, Claire said. And even if it doesn't eliminate everything, it buys you time and leverage for negotiating payment plans. She looked at him seriously. But Ethan, you need to let me help you with this process, not financially, but practically. Let me make the phone calls with you, review the paperwork, be your advocate. Will you let me do that? Ethan studied her face, seeing not pity, but partnership in her expression. Why are you doing this, really? Because I love you, Claire said simply. And love means showing up for the hard moments, not just the easy ones. This is me showing up. The words hung in the air between them. It was the first time either had said it explicitly, though the feeling had been building for weeks. I love you too, Ethan said, his voice rough with emotion. I have for a while now. I was just scared to say it. Scared of what? Scared it would make losing you hurt more if things fell apart, Ethan admitted. Scared of letting myself need someone again. Scared of all of it. Claire moved around the table and pulled him into her arms. I'm scared too, she said against his hair. Terrified, actually, but I'd rather be terrified and in this with you than safe and alone. They held each other in the small kitchen while the laptop screen dimmed into sleep mode, the hospital bill temporarily forgotten. Outside, the city hummed with its usual nighttime symphony. But inside Ethan's apartment, something fundamental had shifted. They'd crossed from dating into something deeper, more binding. Over the next 2 weeks, Claire proved as formidable with medical billing departments as she was in corporate boardrooms. She spent hours on hold with insurance companies, spoke with hospital administrators in a tone that brooked no argument, and systematically dismantled the inflated charges line by line. The bill dropped from $18,000 to $12,000, then to $8,000 as various charges were corrected or removed. Claire negotiated a payment plan that Ethan could actually manage without drowning, structured in a way that protected his credit score. "How did you do this?" Ethan asked as she showed him the final agreement. "Persistence in refusing to accept their first 3 answers," Claire said. "Also knowing what questions to ask and which regulations they're required to follow. They rely on people giving up. We didn't give up." "We," Ethan repeated, testing the word. "I like how that sounds." "Me too," Claire said, smiling. But the resolution of the medical bill crisis brought new questions to the surface. One evening, after Lily had gone to bed, Claire broached the subject that had been weighing on both of them. "We need to talk about what we're doing here," she said. "About where this is going." Ethan's stomach tightened. "That sounds ominous." "Not ominous," Claire clarified. "Just necessary. We've been dating for 3 months now. Lily's getting attached. I'm getting attached. You're getting attached. But we haven't really discussed what the endgame is." "What do you want it to be?" Ethan asked carefully. Claire looked down at her hands. "I want this to be real. Not just weekend dates and helping with homework. I want mornings and evenings and all the boring in-between parts. I want to be part of your lives in a permanent way." "Like moving in together?" Ethan's heart hammered. "Eventually, maybe," Claire said. "I'm not saying tomorrow or even next month, but we should be honest about whether we're headed in that direction, or if this is just a comfortable relationship that won't go anywhere deeper." "What about work?" Ethan asked. "Living together would make the office situation even more complicated." "Work is just work," Claire said. "It's not my life. You and Lily are becoming my life, Ethan. If I have to choose between advancing my career and building something real with you, I choose you, every time." The conviction in her voice was undeniable. Ethan reached for her hand, threading their fingers together. "I want that too," he said. "The real thing. The permanent thing. I'm just afraid of moving too fast and messing it up." "So we move carefully," Claire said. "We communicate. We make sure Lily's okay every step of the way, but we move forward, not just circle around each other indefinitely." "Forward," Ethan agreed. "Together." They sealed the promise with a kiss that tasted like hope and commitment and all the complicated, beautiful mess of building a life with another person. The following Saturday, they took Lily to the beach as usual, but this time Claire brought a small velvet box that she'd been carrying all week, waiting for the right moment. As Lily played in the sand, building an elaborate castle complete with moat and towers, Claire pulled out the box and handed it to Ethan. "What's this?" he asked, surprised. "Open it." Inside was a delicate shell pendant on a silver chain, similar to the one Lily had given Claire that first day, but professionally crafted and polished to a soft gleam. "It's beautiful," Ethan said, confused. "But why? It's not a ring," Claire said quickly. "Not yet. We're not there yet. But I wanted to give you something that symbolizes where we began and my promise that I'm in this for the long haul. However long it takes, whatever challenges we face, I'm not running." Ethan's throat tightened. He ran his thumb over the smooth shell, feeling the weight of what she was offering. "I don't have anything to give you in return," he said. "You've already given me everything," Claire replied. "You let me into your life, into Lily's life. You let me help when you needed it, even though it scared you. You trusted me with your heart. That's more than enough." Lily chose that moment to run over, excited about her architectural achievement. Come see. It's the biggest castle I've ever made." They admired her creation with appropriate enthusiasm, but Lily's sharp eyes caught the necklace in Ethan's hands. "What's that?" she asked. "A gift from Claire," Ethan said. "A special one." "Can I see?" Lily examined the shell pendant carefully. "It's like mine. The one I gave Miss Claire." "Exactly like it," Claire confirmed. Because shells brought us all together, remember? So they're kind of our special symbol. Like a family symbol? Lily asked, hopefully. Claire and Ethan exchanged glances. Claire knelt to Lily's level. Would you like that? Claire asked gently. For us to be a family? More than anything, Lily said, throwing her arms around Claire's neck. Can you be my extra mom? Not instead of my real mom, but in addition to? Is that allowed? Claire's eyes filled with tears. She held Lily close, looking over the child's head to meet Ethan's gaze. That's absolutely allowed, Claire said, her voice thick with emotion. If it's what you want, and what your dad wants, I would be honored to be your extra mom. Daddy? Lily looked to Ethan for confirmation. Is it okay? Ethan joined them in the sand, wrapping his arms around both of them. It's more than okay, Lilybug. It's perfect. The moment was interrupted by a wave that crashed higher than expected, soaking them all and destroying Lily's elaborate castle. But instead of crying over the ruined structure, Lily just laughed, splashing in the retreating water. We can build a new one, she announced. An even better one. Together. Claire and Ethan looked at each other, and in that glance was everything they needed to say. The destroyed castle was just sand. What they were building was so much stronger. As summer deepened into fall, their relationship solidified into something unshakable. Claire started staying over more frequently, her presence becoming a natural part of their evening routine. She helped Lily with homework, taught her to cook simple meals, attended school conferences alongside Ethan. At work, they maintained professional boundaries, but the secret relationship added a layer of complexity that occasionally felt suffocating. One Thursday afternoon, Marcus caught Ethan smiling at his phone in the break room. Let me guess, Marcus said knowingly. Message from the mysterious woman you've been seeing? Ethan's head snapped up. What makes you think I'm seeing anyone? Dude, you've been walking around with this goofy smile for months now. You're either in love or on some really good medication. Marcus grinned. Good for you, man. After everything you've been through, you deserve happiness. Thanks, Ethan said, relief washing through him. It's still pretty new. I'm keeping it quiet for now. Your secret's safe with me, Marcus said. But whoever she is, she's lucky to have you. If only Marcus knew he'd been working 10 feet away from Ethan's mysterious girlfriend for the past 6 months. The irony wasn't lost on Ethan. That evening, Claire brought up the work situation again. They were cooking dinner together, Lily setting the table with careful precision, when Claire said casually, I've been thinking about making a change. What kind of change? Ethan asked, stirring pasta sauce. I got a call from a headhunter last week. There's a position opening up at a creative agency across town. Senior Vice President of Operations. It would be a lateral move, maybe even slightly down in terms of prestige, but it would solve our work situation. Ethan stopped stirring. Claire, you can't leave Meridian because of us. You've built your reputation there. I'm not leaving because of us, Claire clarified. I'm considering leaving because I'm ready for something new. Meridian was the right place when I needed to prove myself, to rebuild after the divorce. But I'm not that person anymore. I want to be somewhere I can grow without constantly maintaining walls. You've thought about this seriously, Ethan asked. Very seriously, Claire confirmed. And I haven't made any decisions yet. I wanted to discuss it with you first, because it affects you too. Lily appeared at Claire's elbow. Are you going away? She asked, worry clear in her voice. No, sweetheart, Claire said immediately, crouching down. Not going away. Just maybe changing where I work. I'd still see you every single day. That wouldn't change. Promise? Lily's lower lip trembled. I promise, Claire said, pulling her into a hug. You and your dad are stuck with me now. No getting rid of me. I don't want to get rid of you, Lily said, squeezing tight. I want you to stay forever. Then forever it is, Claire said softly. Over dinner, they discussed the potential job change seriously, weighing pros and cons. The new position would pay slightly less, but offer better work-life balance. It would eliminate the ethical complications of their relationship. It would give Claire a fresh start in an environment where she could be more herself. What does your gut tell you? Ethan asked. Claire was quiet for a moment. My gut says it's time. Meridian served its purpose, but I'm ready for what comes next. And honestly, I'm tired of pretending we're just colleagues when everyone probably suspects anyway. People definitely suspect, Ethan admitted. Marcus basically confirmed it today. See, Claire said, all the more reason to make a clean break, start fresh somewhere new. When would you have to decide? Ethan asked. They want an answer by the end of next week, Claire said. But I wanted to talk to you first. This is a decision we should make together. The word together had become their touchstone, the foundation of everything they were building. Ethan reached across the table and took her hand. If your gut says it's time, then I support you completely, he said. We'll figure out whatever comes next. Together, Claire finished, smiling. The decision made, Claire gave her notice at Meridian the following Monday. The news rippled through the office like a shockwave. People speculated about why someone as successful as Claire Morgan would leave for a lateral position at a smaller firm. In a private meeting, Claire's supervisor pressed her for real reasons. Is this about creative director Walker? The supervisor asked bluntly. There have been rumors. This is about me wanting a better work-life balance, Claire said calmly, and feeling ready for new challenges. My personal life is my own business. Fair enough, the supervisor said, but for what it's worth, Walker's a good guy. If there is something there, I hope it works out for you both. Claire maintained her composure until she was safely in her car, then called Ethan immediately. They know, she said when he answered, or at least strongly suspect. But I'm out in 2 weeks, so it doesn't matter. Are you okay? Ethan asked, hearing the stress in her voice. I'm relieved, Claire said. Exhausted, but relieved. No more hiding, no more careful distance. In 2 weeks, we can just be us. Those 2 weeks crawled by with agonizing slowness. Claire wrapped up projects, trained her replacement, and maintained professional demeanor even as colleagues whispered about her departure. Ethan kept his head down and focused on work, counting days until they could stop pretending. Claire's last day at Meridian fell on a Friday. The company threw a small farewell reception, professional colleagues offering stiff congratulations and carefully worded well wishes. Ethan attended, maintaining appropriate distance, and shook Claire's hand formally when his turn came. Best of luck in your new position, Ms. Morgan, he said, the words bland and corporate. Thank you, Mr. Walker, Claire replied, her eyes dancing with suppressed amusement. I'm sure we'll stay in touch. But that evening, after Claire had cleared out her office and handed in her security badge, she showed up at Ethan's apartment with champagne and an enormous grin. I'm free, she announced, sweeping Lily into a hug. No more Ms. Morgan the Ice Queen. Just Claire who builds sandcastles and makes terrible cookies. Your cookies aren't terrible, Lily protested, giggling as Claire spun her around. They're pretty terrible, Ethan corrected, accepting his own hug and a kiss that was decidedly uncorporate. But we love you anyway. They celebrated with pizza and ice cream, Lily staying up past her bedtime to watch a movie curled between them on the couch. When she finally fell asleep, her head in Claire's lap, Ethan felt a wave of contentment so powerful it was almost painful. This is what I want, he said quietly. This exact thing, every night, for the rest of my life. Claire's hand found his across Lily's sleeping form. Then let's make it happen. Are you proposing to me? Ethan asked, half joking. Not yet, Claire said, smiling. But soon. When the time is right, when we're both ready, when Lily's ready. But Ethan, I want you to know that's where I see this going. Marriage, a real family, all of it. I want that too, Ethan said, his throat tight. More than I ever thought I'd want anything again. The following weeks brought new routines and deeper integration. Claire started her new job and loved it immediately. The agency's creative culture suited her better than Meridian's corporate structure ever had. She came home energized rather than drained, full of ideas and enthusiasm. Home had become Ethan's apartment by default, though Claire still maintained her condo. They'd talked about her officially moving in, but both agreed to wait a bit longer to make sure Lily was ready for that level of change. Lily, for her part, seemed to have no reservations whatsoever. She'd started calling Claire Claire Mom in private, a designation that made Claire tear up every time. What about in public? Claire asked one evening. What should you call me at school or around other people? Lily considered this seriously. Just Claire, I think, because Claire Mom is special for us. But Ms. Patterson's granddaughter wants to know if you're going to be my real stepmom someday. What did you tell her? Ethan asked, curious. I said probably, Lily said matter-of-factly. Because Daddy loves you, and you love Daddy, and you love me, and I love you. So it makes sense that you'd get married eventually. 7-year-old logic, Claire said, laughing. Hard to argue with. But Lily's casual assumption of their future together crystallized something for Ethan. That night, after Lily was asleep, he brought up the conversation. She's right, he said, about it making sense for us to get married. Not just because of her, but because I want that with you. I want the legal commitment, the public declaration, all of it. Are you proposing? Claire asked, echoing his words from weeks earlier. Not yet, Ethan said, but soon. I want to do it right, Claire. Plan something special. Get a ring Lily helps pick out. Make it a moment we'll all remember. I don't need special, Claire said. I just need you. You deserve special, Ethan countered. You deserve everything, and I want to give it to you. Over the next month, Ethan plotted in secret. He enlisted Lily's help choosing a ring, taking her to 3 different jewelers until they found the perfect one. Not the biggest or flashiest, but a simple band with a single stone that caught light like ocean water. Claire Mom will love it, Lily declared with absolute certainty. You think so? Ethan asked. I know so, Lily said, because it came from us, from our hearts. And that's what matters most. Ethan planned the proposal for the beach where they'd first met, enlisting Mrs. Patterson's help to make it special. The older woman was delighted to be included, promising to have everything ready. The Saturday morning of the proposal, Ethan was a nervous wreck. What if Claire said no? What if he'd misread everything? What if this was too soon, too much, too... Daddy, you're pacing, Lily observed from her perch on the couch. Claire Mom always says yes to important things. She'll say yes to this too. How are you so sure? Ethan asked. Because she loves us, Lily said simply. And people who love each other get married. That's how it works. If only adult emotions were as straightforward as childhood logic. But Lily's confidence bolstered his own, and by the time they picked Claire up that morning, Ethan had his nerves mostly under control. Claire suspected nothing. She chatted easily during the drive to the beach, laughing at Lily's stories about school, planning their day with the casual familiarity of someone who'd been part of their lives forever. When they arrived at their usual spot, Claire stopped short. Someone had set up an elaborate picnic area complete with flowers, candles in protective glass holders, and a blanket embroidered with all their names. What's all this? Claire asked, confused. This is me being romantic, Ethan said, his heart hammering. Or trying to be, anyway. Understanding dawned in Claire's eyes. Her hand flew to her mouth. Ethan, she whispered. Let Daddy talk, Lily stage whispered, bouncing with excitement. Ethan took Claire's hands, anchoring himself in her presence. Behind them, the ocean crashed against sand, the soundtrack to every important moment of their relationship. 3 months ago, I was a man drowning in debt and doubt, Ethan said. Convinced I was failing my daughter, failing at life, failing at everything that mattered. And then you sat down on our beach blanket and offered Lily a sandwich, and everything changed. Claire's eyes were already brimming with tears, but Ethan pressed on, needing to say everything he'd rehearsed. You told me that day that Lily was lucky to have me, he continued. 7 words that changed my entire world. Because for the first time in 3 years, someone saw me not as a struggling single father or a liability at work, but as enough. Just as I was. Ethan, Claire whispered, but he squeezed her hands gently. Let me finish, he said, smiling through his own emotion. You've shown me what it means to be truly seen. You've loved my daughter like she's your own. You've fought medical billing departments for me, challenged me to be better at work, and made me believe in second chances. You've taken all my broken pieces and never once tried to fix them. You just showed me that broken doesn't mean incomplete. Lily tugged on his shirt, and Ethan nodded. Together they knelt in the sand, Lily pulling the ring box from her pocket with theatrical flourish. We have a question to ask you, Lily announced, her voice carrying the weight of rehearsed importance. Ethan opened the box, revealing the ring that caught morning sunlight like captured ocean spray. Claire Morgan, will you marry us? Will you be Lily's Claire mom and my wife and our family forever? Claire looked from Ethan to Lily and back again, tears streaming freely down her face. For a moment she couldn't speak, overcome by the enormity of what they were offering. Yes, she finally managed, her voice breaking. Yes to all of it, forever and always. Yes. Lily whooped with joy, launching herself at Claire and nearly knocking her over into the sand. Ethan caught them both, laughing and crying simultaneously as he slipped the ring onto Claire's finger. It fit perfectly, just as they'd hoped. "We're getting married," Lily announced to the empty beach, her voice echoing across the water. "Claire Mom is staying forever." They spent the rest of the morning in celebration, eating the elaborate picnic Mrs. Patterson had prepared, flying kites, and building sand castles that Claire insisted should have turrets now that they were going to be a castle-building family. Lily narrated their entire future, including elaborate plans for the wedding that involved at least 7 horses and a cake taller than Daddy. "We'll see what we can do about the horses," Claire said diplomatically, earning a grin from Ethan. That afternoon, they drove to Claire's condo to share the news with her family via video call. Her mother appeared on screen, gray-haired and strong-featured, surrounded by Claire's 3 brothers and their families. "Mom, everyone, I have news," Claire said, holding up her hand to show the ring. "Ethan asked me to marry him. We're engaged." The chaos that erupted through the screen was immediate and joyous. Claire's mother burst into tears, her brothers shouted congratulations, nieces and nephews crowded around asking questions. Through it all, Claire kept one arm around Lily and reached for Ethan's hand, anchoring herself in their small family even as she shared them with her larger one. "When's the wedding?" her youngest brother demanded. "And please tell me it's not one of those pretentious affairs with ice sculptures." "Definitely no ice sculptures," Claire promised. "We're thinking simple, maybe on the beach where we met." "That's perfect," her mother said, wiping her eyes. "Your father would have loved him, mija. I can tell." "I think so too, Mama," Claire said softly. After the call ended, they tackled the harder conversation. Ethan dialed his parents, who'd moved to Arizona after Rebecca's death, maintaining distance that felt both geographic and emotional. His mother answered on the 3rd ring. "Ethan, is everything all right? You usually don't call on Saturdays." "Everything's great, Mom. Really great. I have someone I want you to meet." He pulled Claire and Lily into frame. "This is Claire. We're getting married." The silence stretched uncomfortably long. Finally, his mother said, "That's very sudden, isn't it? How long have you known her?" 6 months, Ethan said. "And before you say it's too soon, I know it's right. She's wonderful with Lily. She makes me happy, and I love her." "What about Rebecca?" his mother asked, her voice tight. "Have you forgotten your wife already?" Lily's face crumpled at the harsh words. Claire pulled the child close, her expression carefully neutral, but Ethan saw the hurt in her eyes. "I will never forget Rebecca," Ethan said firmly. "She'll always be Lily's mother and an important part of our story. But she's gone, Mom, and I'm allowed to build a new life. Rebecca would want that for me." "I just think you should wait," his mother said. "Make sure this is real and not just loneliness or convenience." "It's not convenience," Ethan said, his patience fraying. "It's love. And I hoped you'd be happy for us. But if you can't be, that's your choice. We're getting married either way." He disconnected before she could respond, his hands shaking slightly. Claire wrapped her arms around him from behind. "I'm sorry," she said quietly. "Don't be," Ethan replied. "That's on her, not you. She's been like this since Rebecca died, stuck in grief and unable to move forward. I can't let that hold us back." "Will she come to the wedding?" Lily asked, her voice small. "I don't know, Bug," Ethan said honestly, "but we'll have plenty of people there who love us and want to celebrate with us. That's what matters." Over the next few weeks, they threw themselves into wedding planning with enthusiasm that occasionally bordered on chaos. Claire wanted simple elegance. Lily wanted pageantry and magic. Ethan just wanted them both happy, which meant negotiating compromises that left everyone satisfied. They settled on a ceremony at sunset on their beach, followed by a reception at a nearby restaurant. No horses, but Lily could wear a flower crown and carry both rings in a special shell-shaped box. The guest list stayed intentionally small. Claire's family, a handful of close friends, key colleagues from both their workplaces. Marcus volunteered to be Ethan's best man without being asked. I knew something was up with you two, he crowed. Nobody's that happy at work unless they're in love with someone. Was I that obvious? Ethan asked. Dude, you smiled every time she walked past your desk. Even when she was in full Ice Queen mode, you lit up like Christmas. Marcus clapped him on the shoulder. I'm happy for you, man. You deserve this. Claire's departure from Meridian meant they could be open about their relationship for the first time. The relief of not hiding was immense. They held hands in public, went on dates without looking over their shoulders, introduced each other as fiancés without hesitation. At her new job, Claire thrived. Her colleagues welcomed her warmly, and she quickly built a reputation as someone brilliant but approachable, the Ice Queen facade melting away entirely. She came home energized by work instead of drained, full of stories and ideas that she shared over dinner with Ethan and Lily. I think I was wearing armor for so long I forgot what it felt like to just be myself, she confessed one night. But with you, I don't need armor. I can just be Claire. Just Claire is my favorite version, Ethan said, kissing her temple. The wedding approached rapidly. Claire moved into Ethan's apartment officially 2 months before the ceremony, and they put her condo on the market. Merging their lives proved easier than expected. Claire's minimalist aesthetic softened with Lily's artwork and collections of shells. Ethan's practical furniture got upgrades from Claire's nicer pieces. The space that had felt cramped for one adult and one child somehow accommodated 3 people comfortably. It's because we actually like each other, Claire observed one evening as they navigated the small kitchen together while making dinner. We're motivated to make it work instead of just coexisting. Deep thoughts while chopping vegetables, Ethan teased. I contain multitudes, Claire replied, stealing a kiss. Lily adapted to the change with remarkable ease. Having Claire present every morning and every evening settled something in the child that Ethan hadn't realized was unsettled. She stopped having nightmares about people leaving, stopped asking anxiously when Claire would visit next, stopped treating good things as temporary. Is this what it feels like to have a complete family? Lily asked one night during the bedtime routine that now involved both adults. What do you think? Claire asked gently. I think yes, Lily said, because I have Daddy who's always been here, and I have you who chose to be here, and I have Mommy in heaven watching over us. That's a lot of people loving me. That's exactly what a complete family is, Claire said, her voice thick with emotion. And you're right. That's a lot of love. 2 weeks before the wedding, Ethan's mother called unexpectedly. He almost didn't answer, but something made him pick up. Ethan, it's Mom. I know. What can I do for you? Silence stretched between them, uncomfortable and heavy. Finally, his mother spoke. I owe you an apology. What I said when you told me about Claire was cruel and unfair. Your father's been on my case about it for weeks, and he's right. I was wrong. Ethan sank onto the couch, surprised. Okay. I've been holding on to Rebecca so tightly because letting go felt like losing her twice, his mother continued. But you're right, that she would want you to be happy. She told me as much before she died, made me promise I'd support you if you ever found someone new. I forgot that promise in my grief. Mom, let me finish, please, she interrupted. I'd like to come to the wedding if you'll still have me. I'd like to meet Claire properly and apologize to her. And I'd like to be part of Lily's life again instead of this distant grandmother who calls once a month out of obligation. Ethan's throat tightened. I'd like that too, Mom. We'd all like that. Your father and I are booking flights this week, she said. And Ethan, I really am sorry. You deserve happiness, and if Claire makes you happy, then I'm glad you found her. After the call ended, Ethan sat in stunned silence until Claire found him. Everything okay? She asked. My mom's coming to the wedding, Ethan said. She apologized. She wants to be part of our lives. Claire's face lit up. That's wonderful. I know how much that means to you. It means everything, Ethan admitted. I wanted Lily to have her grandparents back. I wanted my family to accept you. I wanted all of it, but I was prepared to let it go if they couldn't come around. Well, now you don't have to, Claire said, settling beside him. We get to have it all. The week before the wedding brought Ethan's parents to California, and Claire's entire family descending on the city. The apartment became chaos central, with people coming and going at all hours, last-minute preparations consuming every spare moment, and nerves running high on all sides. Ethan's mother met Claire over coffee, while Ethan's father took Lily to the aquarium, giving the women time to talk privately. Claire came back from that meeting with red eyes, but a genuine smile. She really loved Rebecca, Claire reported. She showed me pictures, told me stories, and she made clear that she's not trying to replace her in anyone's memory, but she's grateful I'm giving her son and granddaughter a second chance at happiness. That must have been hard to hear, Ethan said. It was beautiful to hear, Claire corrected, because it means I'm not erasing anyone or pretending the past didn't happen. I'm just adding to your story, not rewriting it. The rehearsal dinner the night before the wedding was chaotic and joyful in equal measure. Claire's brothers interrogated Ethan with good-natured threats about treating their sister right. Her mother pulled him aside to tell him stories about Claire as a child, painting pictures of a serious little girl who'd carried too much responsibility too young. She needs someone who sees past the capable exterior to the person underneath, Claire's mother said. I think you do that. I think you're good for each other. I think so too, Ethan agreed. Lily held court among Claire's nieces and nephews, showing off her flower crown and describing her important role as ring bearer. She'd practiced her walk down the aisle 17 times, each performance more dramatic than the last. She's going to steal the show tomorrow, Marcus predicted. She deserves to, Claire said, watching Lily with undisguised affection. This wedding is as much hers as ours. She's the one who brought us together. The wedding day itself dawned perfect and clear, the kind of California morning that felt like a gift. Ethan woke early in Marcus's guest room, tradition dictating he and Claire spend the night before apart, and stood on the balcony watching the sunrise. In a few hours, he'd marry Claire Morgan on the beach where they'd first met. In a few hours, he'd promise forever to a woman he'd known for 6 months but felt like he'd been waiting for his entire life. In a few hours, everything would change again, but this time in ways that felt like coming home. His phone buzzed with a text from Claire. No second thoughts? He typed back, only that I should have asked you sooner. Can't wait to marry you. Her response was immediate. Me neither. See you at the altar, or the sand, or wherever beach weddings put altars. Ethan smiled. Even on their wedding day, Claire was perfectly herself, brilliant, funny, slightly irreverent about tradition. He loved her more than he'd thought possible to love another person after Rebecca. The ceremony began as the sun started its descent toward the horizon. Guests gathered on the beach in simple chairs arranged in rows on the sand. Musicians played softly as people took their seats, Claire's massive family filling one side, Ethan's smaller group balanced by colleagues and friends on the other. Lily walked down the makeshift aisle first, her flower crown slightly askew, her steps careful as she carried the shell box containing their rings. She beamed at everyone, soaking up the attention, and took her place at the front with exaggerated precision. Then Claire appeared, and Ethan's breath caught. She wore a simple white dress that moved in the ocean breeze, her hair loose and threaded with small flowers, her feet bare on the sand. She carried a bouquet of shells and wildflowers that Lily had helped create. She was stunning and natural, and so completely herself that Ethan felt his eyes burn with emotion. Claire's mother walked her down the aisle, and when she placed Claire's hand in Ethan's, she whispered, "Take care of my girl." "Always," Ethan promised. The officiant, a friend of Claire's from college, kept the ceremony brief and personal. They'd written their own vows, each speaking from the heart rather than from scripts. Ethan went first, his voice surprisingly steady despite the emotion threatening to overwhelm him. "Claire, when you sat down on our beach blanket 6 months ago, I was a man who'd forgotten how to hope. You reminded me that being broken doesn't mean being incomplete, that love doesn't replace loss but expands around it, and that families are built not just by blood but by choice. You chose us. You chose Lily and me when you had every reason not to, and I choose you, today and every day after, for as long as we both live." Claire's voice shook when she began her vows, tears already streaming down her face. "Ethan, you taught me that perfection is overrated and that the most beautiful things are built with love, not precision. You showed me what it means to be vulnerable, to ask for help, to trust another person with your whole heart. You gave me Lily, this incredible child who calls me Claire Mom and makes me believe I can be the person she already thinks I am. I promise to love you both fiercely, to show up for the hard moments and the easy ones, to build this imperfect, beautiful life with you. When the officiant pronounced them married, Ethan pulled Claire close and kissed her as the sun painted the sky in brilliant oranges and pinks. Their guests erupted in applause and cheers, but Ethan barely heard them. All he could focus on was Claire in his arms, Lily squealing with delight beside them, and the overwhelming rightness of this moment. The reception flowed seamlessly from ceremony, guests moving to the nearby restaurant where tables were decorated with more shells and candles. Dinner was casual and joyful, speeches alternating between heartfelt and hilarious, as Claire's brothers roasted her gently and Marcus told embarrassing stories about Ethan's early days at Meridian Creative. When it was Lily's turn to speak, something she'd insisted on, she stood on her chair and cleared her throat importantly. "I want to say thank you to Claire Mom for loving my daddy and me," Lily announced. "And thank you to Daddy for finding someone nice who knows about shells and makes good sandwiches. And thank you to everyone for coming to watch us become a real family. Also, the cake is really good. You should all have some." The laughter and applause that followed made Lily bow repeatedly, eating up the attention. As the evening wore on, Ethan found himself standing at the edge of the celebration, watching Claire dance with Lily, both of them laughing as they twirled across the floor. His mother appeared at his elbow. "She's good with her," his mother observed quietly. "With Lily. You can see how much they love each other." "They do," Ethan agreed. It was instant from that first day at the beach. His mother was quiet for a moment. "Rebecca would approve, you know. She'd like Claire. They're different people, but they both see the best in you and bring it out. That's what matters." Ethan turned to face his mother fully. "Thank you for coming, Mom, for apologizing, for being here." "I almost missed this because I was too stuck in the past," his mother said, her eyes glistening. "Thank you for not letting me, for fighting for your happiness even when I made it harder." They embraced, both of them crying quietly as years of grief and distance began to heal. The evening ended with Ethan, Claire, and Lily walking back to the beach alone, escaping the reception for a quiet moment together. The ocean crashed against sand in the darkness, stars emerging in the clear sky above. "We did it," Claire said, leaning against Ethan while Lily searched for shells by moonlight. "We're actually married." "Mrs. Walker," Ethan tested the name. "How does that sound?" "Perfect," Claire said. "Everything about today was perfect. Everything about us is perfect." "Even the imperfect parts?" Ethan asked. "Especially the imperfect parts," Claire corrected. "Those are what make it real." Lily ran back to them, her hands full of shells she'd collected in the darkness. "These are for our wedding memory box," she announced, "so we never forget today." "We could never forget today," Claire promised, gathering both Lily and Ethan into her arms. "Today is when we became us, officially and forever." They stood together on the sand, the three of them silhouetted against the starlit ocean, holding tight to each other and the imperfect, beautiful life they'd built together. In the months that followed, life settled into comfortable rhythms. Ethan thrived as creative director, his team producing award-winning campaigns that earned industry recognition. Claire's new position gave her the flexibility to attend Lily's school events, volunteer in her classroom, and build the kind of present parental relationship she'd always wanted. They sold Claire's condo and bought a house closer to the beach, a modest 3-bedroom with a yard where Lily could play and space for all the shells they kept collecting. The mortgage stretched their budget, but they made it work, both committed to building equity and stability for their family's future. Lily flourished under the attention of 2 parents who adored her. Her grades improved, her confidence grew, and the shadows that grief had left in her eyes gradually faded. She started referring to Claire as Mom in some contexts, Claire Mom in others, navigating the complexities of having 2 mothers with the flexibility of childhood. Rebecca's memory stayed present in their lives in healthy ways. They celebrated her birthday each year with Lily, sharing stories and looking at photos. Her picture held a place of honor in their home, not hidden away, but integrated naturally into their family gallery. "She's part of our story," Claire explained to Lily when the child asked if it was okay to love both her mothers. "Just because I'm here now doesn't erase her. You have enough heart to love us both." A year after their wedding, they returned to the beach for their anniversary, recreating that first day as closely as possible. They brought sandwiches, built castles, collected shells. But this time, Lily had a younger sibling in tow, a baby brother they'd welcomed 6 months earlier after Claire's unexpected pregnancy at 42. "We didn't plan this," Claire had said in shock when she saw the positive test. "I thought I was too old. I thought this wasn't possible." "Apparently possible is more flexible than we thought," Ethan had replied, both thrilled and terrified in equal measure. Baby James had Rebecca's blue eyes and Claire's dark hair, a perfect blend of the family they'd created. Lily took her big sister role seriously, helping with bottles and diaper changes and singing lullabies she made up on the spot. As the sun set on their anniversary celebration, Ethan watched his family, his wife building sandcastles with their daughter, while their son dozed in the carrier against his chest, and felt overwhelming gratitude for the chance meeting that had changed everything. Claire caught him staring and smiled, that radiant expression that still took his breath away. "What are you thinking about?" she called across the sand. "How lucky I am," Ethan called back. "How one sandwich and 7 honest words changed my entire life." Claire stood and walked over, careful not to wake the sleeping baby. She kissed Ethan softly, then rested her forehead against his. "Lily is lucky to have you," she whispered, repeating those 7 words that had started everything. "And so am I. So lucky." "Well, we're all lucky," Lily interjected, appearing at their side and inserting herself into the family embrace. "Because we found each other, and we chose to stay together, and that's what makes a real family." The waves crashed against the shore as the last light faded from the sky. In that moment, standing on the beach where a chance meeting had blossomed into love, Ethan understood what he'd been searching for through all those dark years after Rebecca's death. Not a replacement for what he'd lost, but an expansion of what was possible. Not perfection, but wholeness. Not an ending, but a new beginning built on foundations of trust, honesty, and love freely given. They'd found each other when both were broken, had built something beautiful from their fractured pieces, and created a family that honored the past while embracing the future. It wasn't the life Ethan had planned, but it was the life he needed, messy and imperfect and absolutely perfect all at once. As they packed up their beach gear and headed home under emerging stars, Lily reached for both her parents' hands, swinging between them with pure joy. Claire caught Ethan's eye and smiled, and in that exchange was everything that mattered. Not the grand gestures or perfect moments, but this, the everyday magic of being seen, being loved, and being enough exactly as you are. The beach would always be their special place, the location where improbable connection had sparked into something real. But home was wherever the 3 of them were together, building their imperfect, beautiful life one day at a time. And that, Ethan thought, as they drove away from the ocean with his family singing off-key to the radio, was the greatest gift he'd ever received, the permission to start again, to love again, and to believe that endings could transform into beginnings when you were brave enough to let them.